Math!
Lesson 7, working with 100% using double number lines. So here we have a double number line where the top line represents cups of chocolate milk. What is something that you notice? What is something that you wonder? Number 1, the gas tank in Dad's car holds 12 gallons. The gas tank in Mom's truck holds 50% more than that. How much gas does the truck tank hold? Okay, so what goes here for A? So we know that Dad's tank holds 12 gallons. So Dad's tank would be our 100%. So we have 12 gallons. Okay, what would go at 50%? We know that 50% is half of 100%. Therefore, 50% would be 6 gallons of gas. Okay, it says Mom's truck holds 50% more than that. So that means her tank holds 6 more gallons. So what does 150% represent? How many gallons of gas? Okay, so that'd be 18. So Mom's truck holds 18 gallons of gas. Number 2, at a movie theater, the size of popcorn bags decreased 20%. So it decreased 20%. So that means it actually holds what percent? So I know it's actually holding 80%. Okay. If the old bags held 15 cups of popcorn, how much did the new bags hold? So at what percent would 15 cups go? Okay, that would be my 100%. Okay, so what would go at 20%? Okay, so there are a couple different ways that we can do this. So we can try to find what 20% is. We also see that our double number line is moving in increments of 20%. And 20% is the same as saying 1/5 of 100%. So we could find 1/5 of 15, which would be dividing by 5 in order to determine what each tick mark represents. So 15 times 1/5 gives us 15/5, which is equal to 3. Okay, so I know that 20% would be 3 cups of popcorn. Okay, so what would 40% represent? So it'd be 6, 60%, 9, and 80%. 12. So the question is, how much did the new bags hold if it decreased by 20%? Well, first, what is 120%? If 20% is 3 and 100% is 15, then 120% would be 18. Okay, but it says it's a decrease of 20%, so I'm looking for my 80% mark, which is here. So the new bags hold 12 cups of popcorn. Number 3, a school had 1,200 students last year and only 1,080 students this year. So it asks, what was the percentage decrease in the number of students? So this time it gives us our number of people instead of our percentages. So where would we place 100%? Okay, so last year we had 1,200 students. So right here would be 100%. And our tick marks are moving in increments of 120 people. So 120 is what percent of 1,200? We notice it's only missing 1 0, so therefore it is 1/10 of 1,200, which gives us 10%. If each tick mark is 10%, then we know here's 20%. We can just fill out the rest of our table. So what was the percent of decrease? Well, now we have 1,080 students. So we gotta find 1,080, which is at 90%. But the question asks, what was the percentage decrease? So if I'm at 90% of last year's enrollment numbers, what percent did my number of students decrease? 10% decrease. Number 4. 1 week gas was $1.25 per gallon. The next week gas was $1.50 per gallon. So what percentage did the price increase is what we're looking for now. The percent of increase. So we know that when it was $1.25, that was my 100%. Okay, and these are moving up in increments of 25 cents. Therefore, these are going to move up at the same rate. So if I'm moving up in fifths again, so 1/5, 2/5, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, what does each percentage mark represent? Okay, I'm back to 20%. So now it's $1.50 per gallon. And that puts me at the 120% mark. So what was my percentage of increase? Went from 100% to 120%. So that's a 20% increase. Number 5, after a 25% discount, the price of a t-shirt was $12. So after a 25% discount, the price was $12. So what was the price before the discount? So where would I place my $12? Well, if I had a 25% discount, that actually represents what percentage? So my $12 would go here. So I'm trying to figure out $12 is 75% of what number? You can set up a proportion. So 12 is 75% of what number? And then you can cross multiply. Or since we're moving in 25% increments, this is my third tick mark, I could divide by 3. So 12 divided by 3 means every 25% is $4. So ask, what was the price before the discount? So before the discount, I was at my 100% mark, and my price was $16. Okay, number 6, compared to last year, the population of Boomtown has increased by 25%. The population is now 6,600. And we need to know what was the population last year. Okay, so we know 6,600 represents what percentage? Be my 125%. Because it's after an increase of 25%. So now we got to figure out what our population was last year. Okay, so it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to reach 6,600. Therefore, we could just divide by 5. Which tells me that each tick mark represents 5,280 people. Okay, so what is 50%? Be 10,560. Okay, 75%. 15,840. Okay, so 100% is what? 21,120. So what was the population last year? Last year was my 100%. So last year my population was 21,120. Representing more juice. A juice box has 20% more juice in its new packaging. So 20% more in the new packaging. The original packaging held 12 ounces. So how much juice does the new packaging hold? So here we see Priya and Claire both set up double number lines, except they got different answers. So do you agree with Priya or Claire? Explain your reasoning. So you should have agreed with Priya, because the original packaging, which is my 100%, held 12 ounces. And I'm needing to figure out how much the new packaging holds. So 20% more would put me at 120%, which is 14.4 ounces. Okay, 7.4. Sea turtles live most of their lives in the ocean, but they come ashore to lay their eggs. So if you've been to the beach, or you may have even read about it, but some beaches have protected sanctuary so the eggs will not be disturbed. So especially certain times of the year, they will block off an area on the beach and you're not allowed to go there because that's where the turtles will go to lay their eggs. So one sanctuary had 180 green sea turtles come ashore to lay eggs last year. This year, the number of turtles increased by 10%. So we got to figure out how many turtles came ashore this year. So you can create a double number line, figure out what 10% is, and add. So if I increased by 10%, I'm looking for what actual percentage? 110%. Okay, so percentages can also be represented as decimals. So since percents are out of 100, so 110%, but percents are always out of 100, I could divide. So 110 divided by 100, which gives me 1.1. So 110% in decimal form is just 1.1. Not 1.1%, just 1.1. Once you change a percent into a decimal, you could then use that amount to multiply. So if I wanted to know what 110% of 180 is, of means what operation? Multiply. So that's the same thing as saying 1.1 times 180, and that will give me my answer. Or you can break it down. So if you want to know what 10% of 180 is, then it would be 10 divided by 100, which is 0.1 times 180. Or you could use mental math. If you know 10% of any number just means move your decimal one place. So that's 18. So then you could add. So 18 plus 180, which gives you 198. Or you could just multiply. So 110%, so 1.1 times 180 also gives you 198. So when you combine your percentage, it saves a step of addition. So as here I had one problem to solve. This method I had two problems to solve. So this year we had 198 turtles come ashore to lay eggs. Okay, number 2, at another sanctuary, the number of nesting turtles decreased by 10%. So a 10% decrease, so that's representing what percentage? So that's 90%. So if this year there were 234 nesting turtles, we need to figure out how many there were last year. So we're not trying to find 90% of 234. We're trying to figure out that 234 is 90% of what number? Well, we know up here we can multiply our percentage times the original amount will give me my new amount. But now I know 90% would be represented as 0.9. I don't know my original amount, so that's my unknown amount. And I know it has to equal 234. So think back to like fact families. How would I determine what my 100% was? Okay, I could divide. So 234 divided by 0.9, and that would give me my answer. You could also draw a double number line, or you could set up a proportion. So when is with a number, that usually tells you that it's going to be your top amount. So it's is over your of, and that's always going to be equal to your percent out of 100. So I know 234 is my partial amount. I don't know what my 100% amount is. And I know that 234 is 90% of this number. So then you could cross multiply using that method too. It's a terrible circle. So it'd be 90 times x equals 234 times 100, which is 23,400. And then you can just divide by 90. Okay, and with both methods, you should get 260. So that means last year there were 260 turtles. So we can use double number line diagrams to show information about percent increases and percent decreases. The initial amount of cereal is 500 grams, which is lined up with the 100% because that's my initial or original amount. So to find a 20% increase, we would just add 20% of 500 to 500, which you see here. 500 plus 20%, so 0.2, that's 20%. So if I multiply 0.2 times 500, I would get 100. But I have to remember to add that to 500. So 500 plus 100 is 600. And they equal each other. So 1.2 is the same thing as 120%. So since it is a 20% increase, it would be 120%. Therefore, you could save a step of not having to add. Same thing here. Instead of adding, you'd have to subtract your 40% amount. So if 20% is 100, I know 40% would be 200. So it'd be 500 minus 200, which gives me 300. Or I could just multiply a decrease of 40%. So that is 60%. Because 100 minus 40 is 60. So I could change that to a decimal. Again, we divide by 100 to change it to a decimal, which is the same thing as moving your decimal place or your decimal 2 places to the left. So that'd be 0.6. So if you have a decimal and you're changing it to a percent, you would move your decimal 2 places to the right, which would give you 60%. So it's always important to pay attention to figure out which amount is your 100%. Because if you don't put the correct amount at 100%, your problem will not work out and you will not get the correct answer. Now you're going to go complete lesson 7 on Khan Academy.